What's going on, guys? My name is Fake Thriller, and joining me for today's video is Mr. Snow603.
What's up, guys?
So what we're doing today is I'm actually doing the continuation of my Battlefield 4 mechanics discussion videos, where in the past I've talked about the reloading mechanics and some other similar topics about what we might see in Battlefield 4. And we've used the comment section sort of as like a forum to discuss the topic that I bring up in the video. Now, if you watched the last episode, I told you at the end of that one that the next episode, which you are currently listening to, would be based around the controller versus the mouse and keyboard. Now, a few weeks ago, it was rumored that the PS4 would support mouse and keyboard controls for games like Battlefield 3 and Call of Duty. And I think we're basically going to talk about the pros and cons of both. So, Snoof, do you have any initial thoughts?
From keyboard and mouse to controller? Ah, man. Okay, well, you got to set aside learning curve. If there's absolutely no learning curve, you are as proficient on the keyboard and mouse as you are with controller. It's still kind of a toss-up, but I got to give the edge to mouse and keyboard just because aiming is a lot more precise. Like, overall simplicity, and especially movement, and doing just everything on a controller is infinitely easier, in my opinion. You don't have to worry about, like, you know, you're using a keyboard with, I don't know, what is there, like,
yeah. You
30
like
available keys?
Yeah, you mean like the thumbsticks are just way more intuitive when it comes to, like, functioning your character?
Yeah, exactly, and you have, like,
triggers.
You have exactly as many buttons as you need to do what you need to do, and that's it. Like, you know, the only edge as far as that goes, like in that aspect, from in the keyboard's aspect, is that for switching either primary to secondary to, you know, gadget 1, which we'll say you're an engineer and you're playing with the RPG. On keyboard, you can just hit 1, 2, or 3. You can just cycle to, or you pick up one of those specifically, whereas on controller, you know, you have to, you know, click, click, click.
Yeah, cycle
whatever.
through.
Yeah, so that's kind of the only downside of controller, but I don't know, man. Like, just that simplicity. Like, everything is there and nothing more.
I guess.
Whereas on keyboard, I'm like, if I'm not lined up, I'm fucked.
So let's level the playing field a little bit, because obviously you could play with a controller right now on Battlefield 3 on PC if you have a wired USB Xbox controller, but you're almost instantly at a disadvantage when it comes to aiming with the thumbsticks, because there's no aim assist, and nobody can deny that aim assist is present on almost every single console first-person shooter. I think actually on Battlefield 3 you can disable it.
Yes, you can.
But it presents a bit of a disadvantage because you can't be as precise. And while it's not auto aim, it is. You can sort of notice it if you ever go into like a private lobby and put player 1 in front of player 2 and have player 1 sort of spin slowly. You'll notice that as he approaches player 2, it'll sort of snap to him, and then it'll take a second to sort of pull off of him. But let's say we give that aim assist to people who elect to use a controller on the PC. Do you think anyone would really have a problem with that?
No, because the mouse is still definitely more accurate. Like, there's a learning curve to it. There's no doubt about that. But once you get used to it, it's just so much incredibly more accurate. And, you know, I know some people are going to be like, dude, Snoop, you always, like, bashed on the PC elitists that came into the comments. That's not true. I only got pissed off at those people when they're, you know, like, being absolute dickheads about it, and they're being all these like, oh my god, mouse is so much better because it's a fucking mouse and I'm on PC. Like, there's no reason. They're just bragging because they think they're better people. Hence the elitist term. But like, facts are facts. Like, if you actually went and used a mouse, like, for those that have never done it, it does take a while, but when you get used to it, it's like, you know exactly how much you need to move to aim, whereas on a controller, it's not really that simple. Like, you move the mouse over 2 inches, and then that's it. You're going to stop moving. Whereas on a joystick, you have to move it over a little bit, and, you know, however much you move it over dictates how fast you're going to spin. But then you have to stop. So you have to go over and then come back, and then over and come back. So it's not as precise. Whereas a mouse, it's just, everything is so precise. Move a little bit, and you can move exactly that much on the screen.
All right, here's I think maybe the big question, since the rumor we're discussing is mouse and keyboard support on consoles. Do you think that people would have a problem? Or I guess let me ask it this way. Do you think a competent PC player could plug in a keyboard and a mouse, let's just use Battlefield 3 right now as a reference. Do you feel, because you're a good player on both console and PC, do you think you could plug in your keyboard and mouse into a PS3 and do markedly better than you would with a controller in the same situation?
Absolutely, unequivocally, yes.
Really?
Yes, because kind of goes back to what I said, like, with the mouse, you know, when you get used to it, you know exactly how much you need to move for where you want to be. You know, there's no, like, a little bit of movement on a joystick is infinite movement, it's just very speed, whereas it doesn't matter how fast you move the mouse, you only move it X amount, it's going to translate to exactly X amount on the screen.
So you feel more comfortable with a mouse and keyboard at this point? And
yeah.
I guess I try to picture when I play with a controller, and at no point do I ever say, like, oh man, my aim. I mean, I guess when I think about my aiming shortcomings on controller, it's more about recoil compensation as opposed to snapping on target, because the aim assist does a really good job of assisting you.
Well, try and go back and play on console now, and then talk to me about it, because after like a couple months I went back and played on PS3, and I had to shut it off. I couldn't deal with it because it was fucking with my accuracy. Like, I knew how much I kind of wanted to move, and I had, like, you know, the whole mouse aspect kind of thrown off my head a little bit. So I move it in, and I had, like, my perfect speed that I was going to start shooting when I got to, you know, got my crosshairs lined up, and then it'd snap on them. But I'd keep trying to move it, so I moved back off the target.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a real nightmare.
Now, in general, let's look at the average player. Do you think an average player hooking up a mouse and keyboard would create an unfair advantage when playing on console
compared to controllers?
The average person that's playing on control? Like, just let's take an average user base of 50,000 people using a controller and an average user base of 50,000 people using a keyboard and mouse. Do you think the people using a keyboard and mouse would have an inherently, like, better score overall?
Yes, because, and this is the biggest thing that I noticed in the difference between playing with a controller and then playing with mouse and keyboard. The pace of the game is so much faster. Because I was just thinking about it, and there's another way to put it in perspective as far as I'm talking about, like, you know, overall mouse movement to overall joystick movement on your controller. On the controller, think about how much movement you have, like, completely left to completely right. Like, overall travel is, what, an inch? Maybe like an inch and a quarter? I don't even think it's that much. We'll say an inch. Whereas on a mouse, you know, you're dictated by how big your mouse pad is. Standard mouse pad, I believe, is like 7 inches across. I'm looking at mine right now. And this is like, you know, you go to the store anywhere, and this is like the smallest, like, standard sized mouse pad you're going to get. And it's about 7 to 8 inches.
Mine's way bigger than that, but just so you.
Oh, right, but and that's the other thing. I mean, if you're into gaming, you're going to get a much bigger one. Thing is, I'm a cheap ass, and I haven't gone out to spend the time and money on getting one yet.
You're just like curling up in the corners, I bet.
Yeah.
Like,
So you have, we'll say, 8 inches of travel to work with overall, and you can be a lot more precise. You can turn your sensitivity down or up or whatever, but wherever your sensitivity's at, you get used to it, and you know exactly how much, and you can actually turn it down a little bit. But since you have, like, you know, we'll say 4 inches to swing the mouse to the side. I'm trying to really figure out how best to word that it makes sense, but you know what I mean? You can set it up so that you can do snap movements, and you know exactly, like, okay, if I go all the way over to the right, I know that from dead center of my mouse to the right edge, I'm going to spin a 180 to the right, and then vice versa. You can set it up perfectly. And once you've got that down, you play so much faster, because there's no guessing of, like, oh, how much twitch do I need to get to where that guy is? You know exactly how much you need to move it to be spot on for where he is. And then recoil management is so much easier because now you've got the whole freaking mouse pad that you can just keep traveling. And then there's also the fact that a lot of mice have a sniper button on there that you can hold, and it decreases your sensitivity or DPI on the mouse to a certain percentage.
Right.
So you can be even more accurate.
Yeah, I use that on my mouse when I'm in a vehicle, because for some reason my vehicle sensitivity is through the friggin' roof.
Yeah, it's something wrong with Battlefield 3 on PC. That's one of the issues I have with it. Yeah. But yeah, without a doubt, because there's no denying it. Like, you can watch it in video from video, watching like console footage to PC footage. It's still the same game, and everyone's still technically playing at the same speed. It's just that on PC, things tend to happen faster because you're able to snap on your aim a lot quicker. Your reaction times are faster, so everyone tends to be moving around a lot more often, which gives it that overall feel, the overall impression that the game is moving a lot faster. And when you get used to playing at a higher intensity like that, you go back on console, you see how everything else is moving. It's like you're on speed and everyone else is just, you know, kind of normal.
People have actually commented on our videos in the past saying that it was painful to watch and they needed me to turn up my sensitivity because...
You're right,
I'm
and
literally like, I'm coming, guys.
right, and it's one of those, like, you don't think of it, because when you're playing just on console and that's all you're used to, it's normal, and it makes sense, and it's like, compared to other players that you're playing against, it's a really fast pace.
Yeah.
But when you get used to PC, just because of the whole added accuracy dynamic of a mouse, the game just feels so much faster because you're turning so much faster.
All right, but now, so we've weighed the laws of averages, and we sort of decided that your possibilities with a mouse and keyboard are greater than with a controller. The controller, essentially limits you in certain aspects. But a competent player can still take the leaderboard with either one, right? In the same situation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because that's what I was thinking when you were saying, like, oh yeah, you know, once you get used to a mouse and keyboard, you're going to be a remarkably better player, in so many words. But I was thinking, like, most of my gameplay doesn't come from snapping on target really fast. That's why I'm not like a crazy, like, sniper montage dude. Like, my gameplay comes from, like, my ability to play the game well comes from good game sense and positioning, I think, more than snap aiming. But at the same time, I feel like I do well with keyboard and mouse, and I do well with a regular controller. So, do you think there'd be a problem if the mouse and keyboard became a standard option and very common on console? Do you think it would cause a lot of people to be discouraged to be playing with just a controller?
That's actually a very, very good question.
Like, do you think it would become like a thing where people are like, dude, this mouse and keyboard guy comes in, yeah, why don't you try playing with a controller like the rest of us, you know? Do you think it'd be a source of butt hurt?
I actually think it would. Because, like, you talk to a lot of people that do play on both, and everyone says the same thing. Like, if they could use a mouse and keyboard, it's not even about the keyboard. It's mainly about the mouse.
Right.
Like, if you guys are interested, look up the Frag FX Shark, or the Shark Frag FX controller. It's some combination of words like that. And it's a mouse and, like, a little single handheld joystick. It's kind of hard to explain. It actually almost looks like a nunchuck from... or like one side of a Nintendo 64 controller. Right. And that looks like the best of both worlds for playing on console, where you get the, you know, the accuracy of a mouse, but you still get the familiarity of a controller in the other hand. And a lot of people have said, like, if I were to take that and go play on console, so I had that familiarity, I would stomp on people. And they're right, because I feel the same way. I go over there, I'm like, if I could have my mouse, I'd be so much more accurate. It really wouldn't be fair. And I'm not the greatest player out there. So imagine if, like, really someone like Jimmy the Snake gets on there.
All right, I think we'll send it off to the viewers to discuss in the comments down below. But Snoop, I know you like to leave a code word at the end of our videos to let people put them in the comment section to sort of screw with the people who didn't make it that far and let us know that those people did make it that far. And for this video, I'd like you guys to put...
Wait, can I pick it?
No, I have this one planned.
Damn it! All right.
You can do the next one. I want you guys to put, yeah, I'd like to see some more League of Legends on this channel.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, make the code word, the code phrase, snooze or disappoint, because... you're on PC. You can just put snooze or disappoint, but I like yours better.
Yeah, either one of those. You put something. Let us know you made it this far.
Yeah, there you go. 1 to 2 messages. Either I'd really like to see more League of Legends on the channel, or snooze or disappoint.
Right. All right, guys. But seriously, other than that, let us know what you think about this controller mouse keyboard debate down bottom there, and we'll see what you have to say. So we appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you in the next video.
Later, guys.